Welcome to the Overlord Museum in Normandy, where history comes to life through an incredible collection of artifacts from the D-Day landings of 1944. Today, we're taking you on a full walkthrough, exploring the vehicles and weapons that shaped one of the most decisive battles in history. We start at the M321 Sherman tank, an iconic symbol of American armored strength. Its presence here reminds us of the fierce battles fought on these shores. Surrounding us are various anti-tank defenses and tank destroyers, showcasing the extensive preparations made by both sides to fortify their positions. We also see further examples of the Bailey Bridge, explained in more detail in the Pegasus Bridge Memorial video. The museum stands just outside Omaha Beach. It was founded by Michel Leloup, a passionate historian and collector who spent his life gathering military artifacts, many of which were recovered from the battlefields of Normandy. His goal was to preserve the memory of D-Day and the conflicts that followed, ensuring that future generations understand the scale of sacrifice and the cost of liberation. Unlike traditional tanks, tank destroyers like this M10 were designed specifically to counter enemy armor, relying on speed, mobility, and firepower rather than heavy armor for protection. The M4A1 Sherman was one of the most important tanks of World War II, serving as the backbone of the US and Allied armored divisions. It was the first production variant of the famous M4 Sherman series, which became the most widely used Allied tank of the war. Inside, the journey begins with a collapsible boat, an example of the portable and adaptable equipment used for covert operations and landings. A stark reminder of the regime being fought against, a hand-drawn framed swastika. The French resistance were a crucial force in the fight against German occupation. Their sabotage efforts, intelligence work, and direct engagements with enemy forces played a pivotal role in the success of the Allied invasion. Approaching the landing beach display, we see a PaK-40 anti-tank gun, one of the German Wehrmacht's most effective weapons against Allied armor. Beside it, a tracked motorcycle, an unusual but versatile vehicle used for moving troops and supplies across rugged terrain. Moving further, we encounter a breathtaking landing beach diorama, an immersive scene capturing the chaos and bravery of the D-Day landings. The centerpiece is another M4 Sherman tank, positioned as if advancing under fire. From here, we find ourselves among the American forces, under heavy fire on the landing beaches at Omaha. They are supported by a half-track, a vehicle that balances speed and protection, allowing troops to move quickly while withstanding enemy fire. When an 88mm projectile from a German Flak 36 exploded, it sent out jagged metal fragments that tore through nearby aircraft. A British single-engine Auster J1 hangs overhead. Continuing, we come across a Higgins boat landing craft, the very type used as thousands of troops rushed to the beaches of Normandy in order to liberate Europe from the Nazi stranglehold. Just beyond it is this American GMC CCKW 352 truck, a logistical workhorse that helped keep the Allies supplied throughout the campaign. Even before D-Day, the subject of supplies haunted the Allies. With the Atlantic Wall, the Germans had transformed the two major harbours of Cherbourg and Le Havre into fortresses. The British developed two artificial harbours, called Mulberry Harbours, off the coast of Normandy. After a storm damaged one of the artificial harbours, Americans returned to more rudimentary practices and brought supplies directly to the beaches in amphibian vehicles such as ducks. Here we see the 3rd Canadian Infantry Division, the Royal Winnipeg Rifles, planning to break through the German defences. Gaining ground, their objectives are almost met, but in the early hours of June 7th, German reinforcements launched a counterattack, with heavy fighting and heavy casualties on both sides. We encounter another Sherman tank before turning our attention to a damaged German Panzer V tank. Note, there are no tracks, illustrating the toll of battle on machinery. The Germans saw the importance of tank maintenance in the battlefield. This section presents you a scene of a Panther tank whose turret would have been removed with the help of a German engineering masterpiece, the Strabokran. Alongside, a SD KFZ-9, one of the most powerful German half-tracks, stands as a reminder of the Wehrmacht's engineering capabilities. Mid-July 1944, the city of Caen was still not liberated. The Allies were in a stalemate as the Germans massed large reinforcements in the area, including armoured units. A series of offensives was then planned by the British command to bypass Caen and reach Falaise. Operation Goodwood, launched on July 18, 1944, brought together nearly 1,300 tanks and was the largest gathering of tanks in the entire Battle of Normandy. Unfortunately, the operation was a failure. The German tanks, although heavily bombed during the battle, showed their superiority and pushed back the British tanks. After a difficult progression from Caen, the Canadians found themselves at the gates of Falaise. They then engaged in a fierce battle and, despite heavy losses in men and equipment, they took the city. These soldiers are portrayed in a relaxed posture, reflecting their sense of security and control over the area after having occupied it since the French surrender in 1940. The house itself, with its period-appropriate architecture, adds to the authenticity of the scene, illustrating how life continued amidst the backdrop of war. A German 2-ton mortier truck loaded with barrels reveals a scene of the Wehrmacht's dwindling supplies as the Allies closed in. We then arrive at a display featuring SS soldiers, a chilling reminder of the elite forces that defended Hitler's regime until the very end. The museum's exhibits also feature authentic horse-drawn carriages used by the German forces, methods employed to move troops, equipment, and supplies, emphasizing the blend of traditional and modern technologies during the conflict. This German half-track played a crucial role in supporting infantry operations by helping to overcome obstacles, lay bridges, and demolish enemy defenses. Affectionately known as the D-Mag, the Leichter was commissioned towards the end of the Weimar Republic for the Reichswehr as a towing vehicle for light artillery guns and was used by the Wehrmacht on all fronts during the Second World War. The Triumph BD250W was a German motorcycle and used extensively by the Wehrmacht during World War II. As we near the final sections of the museum, we see two pilots standing in front of a US Army truck, a tribute to the air power that played a critical role in the liberation of Europe. The last stretch takes us to aircraft engines, damaged propellers, and guns, remnants of aerial battles fought above the beaches and fields of Normandy. When you are ready to leave the museum, the gallery gives an intimate and human dimension to the war. Discover through photos and moving testimonials who was hiding under the uniforms and helmets of these men of the greatest generation, almost all of them now gone. The swift advance of the Allies on Paris since the victory of the Falaise Pocket encouraged the Parisian resistance and the Parisians to rise up from August 19, 1944. Backed by General Leclerc's 2nd Armoured Division on the 22nd, Paris was liberated on the 24th. The last scenography of the museum pays tribute to the men and women who liberated Paris and ended the Battle of Normandy and Operation Overlord. Thanks for watching. Please hit like if you enjoyed this video. And subscribe to CLM Adventures.